Good evening, crew. It is March 9th, 2023, and I thought it was high time we talked a little bit about aftercoolers. So anybody with a diesel is probably familiar with the term intercooler or aftercooler, but it's an important piece of the engine that cools the air after it's been through the turbo, compressed by the turbo, before it goes into the engine. In our case with the Cummins QSC, it does this with seawater, which is probably a typical case. And these coolers are important because if any seawater gets through them, it goes into the throat of the engine and starts corroding the internal parts, which is very bad. So they need to be looked after and cleaned and serviced every, let's call it every couple of years or a couple of 100 hours. We had a similar thing on our previous boat. So I knew, at least what to look for, but I didn't know what I was dealing with until I got them, got them off the boat and took a look inside and brought them home and started playing with them. And not having great luck, but let's talk about it a little bit. So this is the aftercooler, one of them. And we have some video of me taking this off. The other side of the world. The other side of the world. I'll meet you on the other side of the world. So, what happens is these two ports are plumbed to seawater in and out. And this is where the air would come in. Bend down, look so you can see inside. And how dirty and greasy it is, if you can see that. Yeah, okay. So the air would go through there, pass across this cooler, which is effectively a radiator, and come out that side, where it feeds the actual engine. So what happened was, I removed these from the boat, got this apart, and found that because the boat had been in fresh water, the tubes are relatively clean, but the core is removable from the housing, and it should be removed, cleaned, the edge, the seals replaced. There's these O-ring seals, and then put back together. Unfortunately, these had not been apart in, I really don't know how long, but at least as long as the previous owner had it, which was since 2018. So when I got it apart, I found a bit of a mess. I worked at this with torches, hammers, and everything else I could find. A lonely road to the other side. See the truth on the other side. Another life on the other side. I'll meet you on the other side of the world. I finally gave it to my neighbor who's a machinist, and he gave a whack at it, but it does not appear that the patient survived the procedure. Things got a little gummed up at this end, and I think it probably corrupted some of those tubes. And if this thing won't hold air pressure, then it's no good. So he did get it to move and come out, but the top of the core was damaged. And as it turns out, you can no longer buy just the core. You need to buy the entire part, which is a bit pricey. So the other one, what I did, since this one was having so much trouble and was damaged coming apart, is I cleaned this one as best I could through this hole where the air goes in with degreaser and parts cleaner and a toilet brush, and then soaked it in another degreaser and got it pretty clean. Let me see if we can see it here. Clean enough. So that's Actually, that's the air outlet side. Look here, inlet side. If you can see up there, it looks much better. So, although this didn't come apart, I think it's good for another year. I created a little jig here to do a pressure test, which it passed. And I will be putting that one back on the boat and then looking for another replacement for next year. But I think we're safe for the moment. Holds pressure and is relatively clean. So I think we're okay. But what I had to do, because of that other one got damaged, was buy a new one. So I did find this one on eBay. And this is, it's a brand new one, as you can see. And I disassembled it. So here, a couple of the O-rings I talked about. There's the zincs are already in there, right? This is the core, what it should look like when it comes out. And this is the housing. And as you can see, the housing is already corroding a bit. And this is a brand new unit, probably been on the shelf a couple of years, but it's never been used. And we're already seeing some corrosion in there. So, actually that side looks a bit better. So there's lots of videos on how to do this. Seaboard Marine has some really good ones, and they sell a lot of these parts. So what I plan on doing is using the grease that they recommend. Which looks like this, the Alco metal grease, and I'll lather up both ends of this here and here after I clean that up with a little emery cloth, and then put this back together with the seals, greasing really everything at both ends here, on top of the seals as well, and fit the whole thing together. And we will reassemble those this weekend. Here they are, reassembled, painted, and ready for service. So what I found with the other boat is if you did that procedure, it works really well. That grease is pretty impressive. With the other boat, after 3 seasons, I took the caps off and just pressed with my thumbs, and the cores popped right out, like they were, like they had just been put back together. So my hope is that with this new one and greasing it properly, that this will give us many years of reliable service, and then we'll just have to look for a replacement for the other one, let's say by next year, and keep after it so we don't have this problem again. Okay, Ford engine installed. Plumbing all done. Pretty good. Keep our fingers crossed that she performs well this year. So the other one goes back here on the starboard side. But it's a little tougher to get to. As you can kind of see. It's installed there. It's installed in there, but I gotta squeeze myself in there to make it happen. So here we go. But that's one of the many things that's been keeping me busy this winter. Good news is we'll be putting these back or reinstalling them this coming weekend. And then the cover came off today, actually. The shrink wrap, shortest lived shrink wrap job we've probably ever had. But we're excited. So we'll start work on the hull this weekend, and target is April 1st, have her in the water. So here we go, kids. Another season. Hang in there, Slainte.